for roller derby for 20 years.
Yeah, and they'll never call us to do anything with WWE because we don't put
I turned down a contract with Vince 16 years ago.
Yes, another approval from me. Another shot in the face of Vince McMahon.
Yeah, but you see, at the time, I was also talking to Kevin Nash.
Yeah. How was he feeling about everything happening with him?
Well, he knew I was. At the time, he was feeling great. He was making big bucks. He had Ted Turner in his wallet to pick.
Yeah, and then he got, years later, what has Kevin Nash amounted to? Getting in fights with his son Tristan for publicity. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but he's still working. He's still booking stuff, just in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I saw his Hall of Fame induction. It was pretty nice to know they put him in the Hall of Fame. Razor Ramon went in. But see, the thing about us is we know the difference of Razor Ramon and Diesel. We know that they've had issues for years. Scott Hall is basically an alcoholic. Will never find his way to the
I saw he fell off the wagon this weekend. He got thrown out of an event he was booked at.
That's no surprise. Him and Sid Justice are famous for that.
Oh. Yeah, no, the last time I personally saw Scott, it was me and Nash carrying him back out to the cab from the club I was working at.
Oh, I don't believe I believe you with that. And the thing about Sid is Sid'll say to a promoter, "Oh yeah, I'll come down there for $300 or $400." His wife will book his flight for him, and then 3 or 4 days, and at the actual event, they'll have to come out and announce that he no-showed. If the independent company does not meet Sid's requirements, Sid's not showing up. He'll tell you he's showing up, but once he finds out the backstory on the promotion, you're fucked. And Sid's not doing nothing unless it meets his requirements. I've never really liked people like that. I think that wrestling should be family friendly. I think that the PG thing, despite the choice of my words, the PG thing is great.
Yeah, no, personally I agree with it because I was really tired of DX.
Oh, DX,
I was really tired of them talking about China's boob job and the whole Lena Merrill thing and
the desperational times of professional wrestling only because WCW were beating them in the ratings. And once they got ahead,
what was it, 82 weeks?
86 or 87 or something, WCW was beating them.
Yeah.
And then Eric Bischoff went through some kind of depression. He went to Ric Flair, told Ric Flair he had to buy WCW from him. Then he left, and then that was it. Ric Flair was the one who ran that into the ground.
Yeah, well, by that time, though, it had already been run into the ground with too many guys booking and changing storylines.
Yeah, because what would happen, Terry Taylor would come in the locker room and he'd point at everybody. He'd say, you're working against this guy. There was no storylines. And if you noticed anything about WCW programming, the matches were made on the shows. They never did come on Monday Night Nitro and say, next week it'll be Hulk Hogan and Paul White for the title. You never ever saw a match 2 weeks promoted. I mean, at the pay-per-views, they would come out on a live pay-per-view and announce matches for the pay-per-view with no promotion whatsoever. How are you supposed to run a wrestling promotion with no promotion whatsoever? We got a pay-per-view in 2 weeks, so we're going to make matches on the pay-per-view and have impromptu matches? God.
Yeah, you can understand once in a while if, somebody couldn't make a flight or whatever. That's happened throughout history.
The hell, just in 2007 on Chris Benoit. On Chris Benoit, they had to change the card around just on that one so he can make that emergency trip home for what ultimately wound up being his demise.
I was in Edmonton when that happened, and I can't tell you how crazy Edmonton was when that happened. And probably about a year after that, I interviewed the guy who wrote the book on the Chris Benoit family tragedy, Scott Keith from Saskatchewan. And it was just one of those weird situations. It makes you wonder, what is going on with wrestling? Why are people resorting to what they're doing? And as I've said many times over, it's the same repetitive thing with wrestling all the time. Now with people committing suicide or dying of natural causes or unfortunate things that happen to them. But years ago, back in the 90s, that was all kayfabed. You never heard about that till 2 or 3 years after it happened, unless you were a close personal friend of the person that did it. But now you're hearing about it every 3 to 4 months. I think it was 75 to 80 deaths between 2007 and 2010 we heard about. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, everything from Miss Elizabeth on out.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, what is going on? And the thing about Chris Benoit is, Chris Benoit was an amazing wrestler. Chris Benoit was an amazing wrestler, and he turned around and let us all down. Why would you do that? Why would you jeopardize your career like that?
I had my time hanging with the Horsemen back in the day in L.A. Whenever they came to L.A., I was hanging with them. And it was funny as hell, because it was like Chris was like their designated driver, for Christ's sake. That's why I was in shock to find out, there was booze around and all that. And I'm like, what?
I hope they bring in somebody better for creative. That's one thing I hope. That's going to be the biggest birthday present ever for me, finding out who WWE creative.
They can find a deaf, dumb, blind chimp that could type up better scripts than I've been seeing there.
I'll put my name out. If WWE are looking for a creative writer, I may end up firing half the new talent initiative, but I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah, let's get rid of one dung hole. Let's get rid of all the goddamn comic relief.
Let's get rid of the love storylines. That's Stephanie McMahon's fault, how wrestlers are involved in real-life relationships and stuff like that. Let's get rid of all that. And let's focus on the wrestling product. Let's focus on the guys that deserve the opportunities, like the Dolph Zigglers and the Wade Barretts and the Daniel Bryans and I don't know what's going on with Sandown. I don't know why he hasn't been given an opportunity. Let's give him a chance.
Actually, they gave him a cute little feud with Hennig's kid.
I hear Bob snoring over there. Bob's tired of talking about wrestling, I think.
No, I'm not tired of it. I mean, I just know that with Chris Benoit, with what happened there, that it really took that became a big hit for pro wrestling. It became a big hit for pro wrestling with what was going on, with what was going on, because it looked like wrestling could have been more on the rise when 2006 ended, and everyone was hoping for by the time WrestleMania would come on, there would be some interest, and it would force TNA to shake things up just to bring a rise out of things at least.
Well, TNA also made an announcement this past week that definitely spells its doom. They're moving the day to Wednesday. They're up against Lucha Underground.
Well,
you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind if you're going up against Lucha Wrestling. Lucha del Ring in Mexico is like the best wrestling that comes out at 4 o'clock in the morning. People make a habit of watching that. You can't compete against Lucha Wrestling.
No, they're up against Lucha Underground, which is on El Cid TV here. I got Direct TV. But there's a lot of names. What's his name? Morrison is there. Trying to think of all the different guys that are there that were TNA and were WWE. Del Rio's there.
Del Rio's awesome.
He's El Patron, is what they're calling him now. And they just moved their time slot to Wednesday night up against that.
Oh, they're doomed. They are doomed. Goomed. Goodbye, Dixie Carter.
Yeah, they went from Spike TV to Destination America, which is another unwatchable network.
Well, yeah, exactly. Destination America is not even close to what Spike TV was by any stretch of the imagination.
And so, they moved it over there to kill it. And then, Jeff Jarrett's got his TNA 2.0 coming out, and it's going to go the same way as TNA because Jeff Jarrett's there. He can't.
Has Jeff Jarrett ever done anything creative in his own life rather than just putting himself in matches against big names like Kurt Angle and Sting? Has Jeff Jarrett ever done anything to benefit wrestling fans? No. The only thing Jarrett's done is the stuff to benefit himself.
All he's ever done is sully his daddy's name.
That's it.
His daddy was a legendary promoter. Jeff, you're not.
Jeff just was a country star wannabe.
Yeah,
is all he was.
Yeah, and who was actually doing the singing and guitar playing on that song?
Jesse James.
Yeah, Road Dogg.
Yep, I interviewed him about that, and he's still pissed off over that. I mentioned that to him back in 2008, and he's still pissed off over that.
Oh, yeah.
But, like everything else in wrestling, Triple H allows, we don't have any idea about politics.
Well, like I said, Triple H is kind of right to be slapping the online community because they do a lot of damage. Now, they do more damage than good. I'm on a few sites, and
So what you're saying is basically, if this is a direct shot at me, and it results in me facing Triple H next year at WrestleMania, you're for Triple H in the match? You're not going to support me?
Dude, I'm polishing that sledgehammer.
Oh,
Now I'm breaking out my engraving kit.
oh man.
You're in big trouble there,
change
Clarke.
over to entertainment news. One of the things in entertainment
it's one thing to do it as like a news or you follow it, but the way some of these guys are going about it has done a lot of damage. They're throwing out spoilers. They're throwing out nonsense. I see a lot of rumors started on this that have nothing to do with the business. A lot of marks running their mouths. And that's what they are, marks.
Yeah, they're nothing like us who get the chance to sit down and interview with them about politics. Oh, Triple H
Well,
is
I
this,
actually
Triple H
worked
is
in the
that.
business, as opposed to a lot of these internet guys. And I'm like laughing when I'm reading their comments, like, dude, you have no idea what the F you're talking about.
So I'm an internet guy now.